Welcome back to the channel, guys, and of course welcome to the final part of our review to the Bugatti Chiron, where of course we are literally just over 24 hours away from the all new reveal of course the all new upcoming Bugatti V16 Chiron successor in Molsheim in France. And of course on top of that we will be properly topping off with a final video where we speak about every single Bugatti Chiron ever made, starting off with of course your basic Chiron carbon fiber body, 8-liter quad turbo W16, 1500 horsepower, and a proper icon on its way, the way it started off. And through its progressive models, as you guys will see, it properly evolved into multiple variants, doing of course to properly take it to the track as well as the top speed tests on its own. And well, it properly covered every single array that it could in terms of being a proper multi-level hypercar. And of course, as I said, 1500 horsepower carbon fiber body, 8-liter quad turbo W16, the one that started it all. Then we move on to the first ever variant, i.e. the Chiron Sport, where of course this is the more lighter variant or the more complete track tuned variant, where this was 18 kilograms lighter and it came with a complete unrestricted exhaust system, where of course this also marked the debut of the quad tip exhaust system, as you guys can see, and carbon fiber where everything could be. And on top of that, a way more stiffer suspension setup to of course increase the cornering abilities, meanwhile maintaining the complete proper ethos of the car to be a complete Jekyll and Hyde, such as being a complete comfortable daily driver, meanwhile on the other hand being a complete massive powerhouse with tracking capabilities. From then on we went to the Sondison or the 110 horse, which was a proper tribute to 110 years of Bugatti, and you could get it in a proper complete beautiful spec of exposed carbon fiber in a color of steel blue with accentuated colors or accentuated carbon fiber once again in steel blue, and a proper beautiful spec with the blue orange painted on the wing mirrors and on the underside of the wing, a proper beautiful spec on its own. And of course only 20 of these were made, 207 of the basic Chiron were made, and then 60 of the complete Chiron Sport were made. I completely forgot about that, but nevertheless that's the Sondison. And of course the proper quad tip complete exhaust setup started off with the Chiron Sport and completely carried on. And from then on we move on to the proper world record edition, i.e. the Chiron Super Sport 300 Plus, which of course was properly created to of course properly mark their proper legendary feat of properly becoming the world's fastest car on its own, where of course a pre-production spec Super Sport 300 Plus took to the complete era lesson test facility. And of course in 2019 was when this proper record was set, and that topped the scoreboard with a proper top speed of 304.773 miles an hour, thereby becoming the world's fastest car on its own. And of course this properly joins the heritage lineup of the world record cars, where of course it consists the Veyron Super Sport World Record Edition and the Veyron Grand Sport Vitesse World Record Edition, as well as the all new Chiron Super Sport 300 Plus. And one of the main things that is common between them, alongside the 8-liter quad turbo W16, is of course the complete livery on its own, where of course it's properly grey or black underneath, but in this case it's exposed carbon fiber, I mean as per usual, with of course the orange stripes running through. And this is a proper highly decked out top speed variant, the proper Yesco Absolute variant if you will of the Bugatti Chiron, with a complete long tail, completely different front and rear bumper to of course completely improve aerodynamics of course at high speeds. And of course this properly came with limiters in terms of the production version. Of course they came with limiters to of course limit them at a complete speed under 300 miles an hour, but it is allegedly said that if the limiters are removed, the proper production versions can in fact properly surpass 300 miles an hour. And Bugatti did offer that very privilege to the customers, or the very lucky 30 customers who did take delivery of their Super Sport 300 Pluses. But nevertheless it is still the world record edition of the complete Chiron on its own, and with this proper beautiful exposed carbon look, especially with the orange stripes, it's something to properly die for in terms of looks. And another very cool fact, which is also another common fact about every single world record edition, is the fact of the black badges, i.e. the black Bugatti badges, as you guys can see, which is present on the Chiron Super Sport 300 Plus, the Veyron Super Sport, as well as the Veyron Grand Sport Vitesse as well, which is properly common among all three of the world record editions. And that's another cool fact. And from then on we moved on to the former world's most expensive car, either La Voiture Noire, with the complete proper tribute of this being to the original Type 57 SC Atlantic, which on its own is a complete rare find on its own. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are only 2 or 3 in the world. One is completely lost, one is owned by Ralph Lauren, and the third one is properly unaccounted for. But nevertheless this is properly a tribute to the Type 57 SC Atlantic, especially with the complete long looks on its own, and a very different design from what were the previous designs. I mean, of course when you look at the Chiron Super Sport, the complete Chiron Sport, and the original Chiron, there are very proper keys, common things among it, but this is a complete different realm of its own, with the complete looks, the complete proper looks, and with the fact of it being properly a tribute to the Type 57 SC Atlantic, it of course got the same 1500 horsepower 8-liter quad turbo W16, and on top of that, one of the main things that they wanted to put together with the Leviathan Noir was of course to show how the design pattern evolved across all the way from the Type 57 SC Atlantic all the way to the complete present gen, which was at the time the Leviathan Noir. And this properly showcases that, and especially one of the main things is the dorsal fin that properly sticks on from the front end all the way to the rear end. And on top of that, a very proper bold rear end with the 6 proper exhaust tips and the illuminated Bugatti lettering. And of course, this is a one of one. And then we further move on to the Chiron Noir, which was once again a proper tribute to the Type 57 on its own, with a complete black or a matte black carbon on its own. These are the two options. You could have it in Noir Elegance, which is a complete exposed black carbon body, or Noir Sportive, which is basically a black carbon body with a matte finish. And well, that was basically it. You of course got Noir insignia in some of the places, but nevertheless that's about it, and some of those places being underneath the wing. And on top of that, complete all black, very menacing look. And of course the quad complete exhaust tailpipe system still sticks on, and of course the same 1500 horsepower 8-liter quad turbo W16. And of course only 20 of these complete Batmobile spec complete Chiron Noirs were ever made, and especially with this complete menacing all black look, you could never go wrong with a complete Noir. And well, in terms of the next car, we progress on to the proper track ready decked out Chiron, if you will, because of course the Chiron Sport had the complete stiffer suspension, but this has an even more stiffer suspension, and the complete setup is properly track ready, if you will, with a complete fixed wing, complete different aero blade wheels, a complete remapped complete transmission with closer gear ratios to of course benefit the complete power band. And on top of that, way more stiffer suspension, as I said, 65% at the front and 33% at the back. And on top of that, a complete all new mode called complete Sport Plus, a higher RPM, where the usual one is 6,700, whereas this was up to 6,900. The same 8-liter quad turbo W16, the same 1500 horsepower output, but this is a proper handling monster and a proper Chiron that you'd want to tackle any racetrack on the world. And of course only 60 of the pure sports were ever made, and properly this obviously did not have the quad tailpipe system, and that is because this had a double tailpipe system. And one of the main things was the aero blades, which mainly helped in channeling the air near the wheels to of course towards the rear and mainly towards the rear diffuser. And whereas you guys can see, it has a massive, very complete menacing diffuser, a proper huge one with the complete X-wing style rear mounted fixed wing. And well, what else could you want as a proper quintessential powerhouse, i.e. a proper quintessential powerhouse of a track weapon. And now we move on to Le Legend, the UCL, which is the complete proper variant dedicated to Bugatti's racing drivers who were part of the French Air Force. Hence, in lieu of them, this proper completely limited edition was completely created, where Le Legend, the UCL on its own means Legends of the Sky, where of course only 20 of these bad boys are ever made with the same 8-liter quad turbo W16, 1500 horsepower. And the main different thing about this very Chiron on its own is of course the spec. It came with a complete matte grey finish known as Gris Serpent, with a complete gloss white stripe down the center, with the blue orange behind the front wheels, red calipers, a complete tan leather interior with a turned aluminum in the trim, a very beautiful and elegant spec. And of course, as I said, only 20 of these bad boys were ever made. And then further on, we move on to the complete comfort variant of the Super Sport 300 Plus, and that was the Chiron Super Sport, where of course only 80 of these were ever made. And the main thing about this is more of a complete conventional Bugatti Chiron with more leather in the interior than the complete carbon fiber trim comparatively towards the complete Chiron Super Sport. And of course, all the 30 of the Super Sport 300 Pluses could only be opted with the option of an exposed carbon fiber body. Meanwhile, with the Super Sport, you could completely opt this in any paint shade you wanted, and of course completely different wheels, a completely way more comfort and a way more conventional Bugatti on its own. And of course, this did not have the limiter to be taken out or the feature of a complete removable limiter. Hence, because of that, this had a complete electronically limited top speed of 273 miles an hour or 440 kilometers an hour. But the better part of the looks are quite literally the same. Only fact is that this is a way more comfort driven variant than the Super Sport 300 Plus. And of course, as I said, only 80 of these were made compared to 30 of the Super Sport 300 Plus. And now we move on to the one-of-one Chiron Pure Sport known as the Grand Prix. And this on its own was actually the proper first project of Bugatti's all-new program known as the Sur Mesure program, which is completely French for tailored, which is similar to the tailor-made program by Ferrari, where it's something where the customer can completely spec their very own hypercar in their very own unique custom bespoke way. And this properly lives up to that very statement. And the main proper reason behind this livery is the 1931 French Grand Prix, which is properly won by Louis Chiron in his Type 51 Bugatti, which had the same numbers 32 2022, and that exact same number completely carried on onto this, and thereby this was named as the 1 Chiron Pure Sport Grand Prix, thereby indicating that there are in fact not 60 but 61 Chiron Pure Sports. And of course this, as I said, was the first ever of the Sur Mesure program. And now we move on to the 1 Chiron Profile, which on its own was in fact intended to be a complete production model, but due to all 500 slots of the Chiron on its own, including all its variants being highly accounted for, the complete production idea was completely scrapped. But still one was built, and this on its own sold for over 9.7 million euros at an Arab Sotheby's auction, thereby making the Chiron Profile the world's most expensive new car to ever sell. And on top of that, this had a way more different character on its own, with a complete retuned front splitter, different wheels, and a complete different rear end on its own with a complete ducktail, a massive diffuser, and on top of that, hand woven leather in the interior, and on top of that, a very beautiful look. If you ask me personally, I would say that this is one of the best looking Bugattis to ever be made, especially with the silhouette that you get from the side with the complete proper ducktail, and on top of that, the same 8-liter quad turbo W16, 1500 horsepower. But they also made a couple of the technical changes in terms of it having lower or properly closed gear ratios, making this the fastest accelerating car of the complete Chiron range, where this could go from 0 to 62 miles an hour in 2.3 seconds. And of course this had a complete top speed of 236 miles an hour, but nevertheless this thing still sold for over 9.7 million euros, thereby making this the world's most expensive new car to ever sell. And well, that's a new fact that you learn every day. And of course guys, that accounts for 499 of the 500 Chirons, where we now move on to the last ever Chiron ever made, named the Theme, which is in fact a complete project, or the second project of the Sur Mesure program, where this has been done in such a way to properly commemorate the icon of the Chiron on its own, where it properly goes from a complete fade in color of French racing blue from the front, and it merges towards the back with Atlantic blue as its complete rear color, and it also completely accentuates the look with the complete painted wheels mirroring the complete front and rear shades respectively. And in terms of this, making it a very unique and bespoke spec. And not just that, as you guys can see, it's got some insignia on the sides, where that is the insignia of every single place that has helped build the legend of the Chiron. And on top of that, it's also got some insignia of number 500, such as behind the doors, and on top of that, underneath the wing, with number 500 of 500 on the complete central wheel caps, and well, thereby commemorating the last ever Bugatti Chiron to be made. And thereby guys, we bid adieu to the Chiron era, where of course in just over 24 hours we will be welcoming the all new V16 successor. And well, I'm completely thrilled to see it, but nevertheless it is sad because we are losing out on one of the most iconic hypercars to ever properly step foot or step tire on this holy planet. And well, that's RIP or au revoir to the legendary Bugatti Chiron. And well, what do you guys think? Comment below. And well, thanks a lot for watching guys. Remember to that sub button and click the bell to ensure you don't miss out on any future videos. Au revoir.